20 years her senior, maybe 25, roughly the age Daddy would have been if he'd lived. His round face was graced with a deeply clefted chin, and silver-streaked dark hair swooped away from a part on the side of his head. He wore a blindingly white scarf, twisted with an elegant flare at his throat. His hands, she always noticed hands, were slender and long-fingered, covered with soft, fawn-colored leather. The roar of an approaching train echoed up the stairwell.
"You are catching the W line?"
he asked. "Yes, that's right."
"As am I."
He quickened his pace.
"I believe our train is arriving."
Jill glanced at the sign above her head and verified that the train was the one that would take her to Carnegie Hall's Weill Music Institute. She hurried to catch up and arrived at the man's side as the train pulled to a stop. The compartment was nearly full of commuters. The door opened, and only a few people exited. The rest compressed themselves to make room for those entering. Every seat was taken, so Jill filed as far inside as space allowed and grasped the overhead bar to brace for the forward motion, facing the stranger. The doors closed, and they began to move. "I'm so glad we didn't miss this train. I don't want to be late today." She snapped her mouth shut. What was the matter with her, babbling like an idiot? She must be more nervous than she realized. Well, if she was, then who could blame her? Today was probably the most important step she'd ever taken in her career. To study with masters, no, with legends of modern classical music, was a dream come true. This week-long workshop would culminate in an evening that she'd dreamed of since she was 7 years old and first placed her fingers on the silky keys of a piano. She would play Carnegie Hall. Okay, just a recital, not a real performance, but it was an important step, and one day she would headline one of the famous Carnegie Hall concerts herself.
"You have an important meeting, yes?"
He nodded toward the portfolio hanging from her shoulder. "Sort of. I'm attending a music workshop this week." A delighted smile lit his features. Even white teeth appeared between the generous lips.
"You are a pianist."
Jill's mouth dropped open. "How did you know?"
"I suspected the moment I saw you."
He straightened to his full height, his chin tilted upward.
"You carry yourself like an artiste."
She experienced a flash of pleasure. Back home, she was once accused of putting on airs, of walking down the street with her nose in the air as though she thought she was better than the other residents of Seaside Cove, sort of like this man was doing right now. His posture returned to normal, and his smile became conspiratorial.
"Besides, I recognized the brand of your portfolio and surmised that it contains sheet music."
His laughter filled the compartment, and she joined in. Heads turned to glance at them, then people returned to their private contemplations of books or newspapers, or their study of the graffiti-covered concrete tunnel walls rushing by outside the windows. The train swayed, and a dark-haired child standing in front of her clutched his mother's hand. Jill tightened her grip on the overhead bar.
"What composer do you favor? Beethoven, perhaps, or Mozart? No, wait."
A slender gloved finger rose to rest on his lips as he studied her.
"Liszt. Definitely Liszt."
Delighted at the accuracy of his guess, Jill once again exclaimed, "How could you know that?" Piercing dark eyes sparked with shared passion.
"I see the love of the mystical in your eyes. Liszt's spiritual nature, his ever-searching musicality, would appeal to someone like you."
Jill's smile warmed with a sudden kinship. He was a musician, too. Of course he was. "My name's Jill." She released the bar to extend her hand. He captured her fingers, pressed them with his.
"Robert."
The screech of steel reached her ears in the split second before she pitched forward. Something hit her hard from behind. She crashed into Robert, who tumbled backward. The cry of tortured metal drowned out the passengers' startled shrieks. Glass shattered, bodies sprawled. The dark-haired boy bounced off of the ceiling, his arms and legs flailing. But the ceiling was where the wall should be. Then, with a terrific crash, it wasn't there at all. Screams, pain, darkness. Jill woke minutes or hours later, she didn't know which. An agonizing pain in her left hip reduced her breath to tiny gulps. A tearful, high-pitched keen